He's out.
These lot have been enjoying this beautiful weather for way too long.
Who's out? Who's out?
What are you saying? Where you lot going? Did you miss me?
Yeah, everyone missed you.
You're the guy, bro.
You're the best, man. Honestly, you're the best.
I could never forget you.
I think you need a tissue, mate.
Why are my eyes itching, man? I thought we were cool.
Itching, man. Nice day, though, isn't it? Where's my guys? What's wrong, lads? You never sneezed, huh? What's wrong, lads? What's wrong, lads? Huh? I'm here for you. Sneeze for me. What's wrong, lads? Haven't you sneezed? Have you sneezed? Huh? Have you sneezed? Huh? I'm home.
Hello. Do you suffer from hay fever over there? Do you get that over there?
Not as much as I used to growing up, but yeah, I do know some people that when it hits about late August, September, and that, yeah, it just the whole face just looks like it's melting. Yeah,
absolutely killing me over here. I always it seems to be every other summer, but I thought I'd got away with it this year, and then I think 2-3 days ago it just creeped up on me.
It's the same thing with winters and getting a flu vax as well. You think you're going to be fine, and then it hits you, and then you're like, oh, shit, I should have got it done.
The thing is, I was going to get the hay fever. There's a hay fever jab that you can get. It's £100, and apparently it's absolutely mint. But I thought I wasn't going to need it, so didn't get it done. And now here I am, where I'm ringing around trying to get hold of it as quickly as possible. But apologies if I am sniffly, people. It's hay fever. How are you anyway, Pat? You good?
Yeah, all good. Just obviously just feeling a little bit tired, but apart from that, I'm all right. Yeah,
tired. I tell you what. I guess you're being over there. You get to wake up to the news usually.
No, I mean, if you guys are getting news there at the start of the day, that's sort of like dinner time for us.
Yeah. Do you know what? I always find the start of the day news, is rubbish.
Yeah, I do have to say though that when I wake up, if I've had a good night's sleep, usually by the time I wake up, that's when I'm bombarded with a lot of your videos, LB's videos, news coming through. Obviously keep in touch with a lot of supporter clubs in the States as well, so they post tons and tons and tons of stuff as well. So I'd probably say I mean, I'm not saying that you like dinner time is like the first we get of anything, but the majority of it comes through overnight.
Yeah. So, I mean, anyone, hold tight, 220 of you in here already. If you haven't already, please make sure you smash the like button. Get those likes up nice and high, nice and early. I'm going to keep doing shows, but I'm trying to find topics to talk on other things, right? Because we're waiting for Cherki. Stu saying Cherki.
Feels like a bit of a slow news day today so far, isn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's certainly slower than other days, yeah.
Right, so Stu, I know you are. Obviously, we chat on Instagram, right? You are the most reactionary, negative fucker I've... Bro, chill out. Like, what has happened that makes you think Cherki may not happen before the Club World Cup? What has happened that makes you think that, right? Khaldoon has come out and said, we're going to be getting our business done, which I think he means the majority of our business before the Club World Cup. I don't believe Khaldoon would put that into the environment unless it was actually into the world, unless it was going to happen. Like, just because we've got to remember, we were only heavily linked with Cherki, I think, last Wednesday?
I believe so.
Right.
I think we were quite reserved on, how we were doing our business. Like, we didn't jump the gun too early, knowing full well that there's no point, basically flexing a financial muscle like days and days and days before the window's even open. I just think it was sort of gradually brought along, sort of thing. It wasn't like we were just slammed with all this news like way too early, because again, you don't want to have that, and then all of a sudden, if it falls on its ass and then the window's open, you feel like you're starting all over again.
See, what I feel was happening at this point is because Manchester, right? So the transfer window opened on a Sunday, right? And nothing happening on a Sunday, right?
Yeah, they didn't. They weren't going to pay him double time.
Here we go. Now the same guy is saying, relax, it may happen. I don't need to relax. You need to fucking relax. Bro, I am very cool and calm with this transfer window. It's the second day, because I don't see the Sunday as a day that any business could be done. Yesterday, we know from the interviews, we know that a few players were travelling to their international camp, right? We're negotiating with multiple clubs at the moment, right? I feel like everyone, because things have not happened so quickly, everyone's like, oh shit, might not happen now. Whereas everything that I'm reading is very good. It's like Cherki deal collapsing for price. Where have you seen that? Right? I have not seen anywhere that the Cherki... Right, and furthermore...
Manchester's the only one that's been posting that. I saw it on LB's. I saw it, I think, on your earlier show. So right. I don't know what's going with that one.
But saying that is, even if you put in brackets YouTube, please don't ever let YouTube be your go-to, right? Go and check other sources, because all we're doing is, I'll be completely honest with you, right? What we have to do is come up with headline shit, yeah? And then we talk on it, right? So the deal collapsing, no, there's a 5 million, but everything I've read from reliable sources is that there is a 5 million gap, but Manchester City are very confident that they can get this deal done quickly, right? A 5 million gap is not a big gap in the world of football. So maybe I am biting a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I am biting.
When you're talking about something like 5 million, that's more a case of maybe the selling club wants that right now as part of the transfer fee. The buying club wants that as part of an add-on. It's not really anything major. It's just something that's sort of dotting I's and crossing T's, and sooner or later, you come to some sort of a mutual agreement.
Yeah, but again, I mean here. So I don't understand why it's not already done. The deal is cheaper than Doku and Savio price, right? Right. I'll be honest with you. If I go in, right, not in England because shops are shops. If I am abroad and I go in a shop, right, because I know abroad in shops you can barter. If I go abroad and something is a quarter of the price as it is in England, I'm not going to take the first fucking offer. I'm still going to barter, because that's just the way things are. Like, we know our club are going to try and get as good a deal as possible, because the back end of the transfer window, if we can save 5 million on Reijnders, 5 million on Cherki, 5 million on Ait-Nouri, that's 15 million. Right, that 15 million later on in the transfer window could be quite a big deal. So, of course, they're not just going to go in there and go, do you know what, this is a great deal, so we're going to pay it. They're going to say, nah. We heard, or we want to pay 25 million. So, we're 2 days into the transfer window. Like, the medical probably couldn't be done for another couple of days anyway. So, we've got that time to negotiate. We don't have to go and just pay whatever everyone says. Everyone just calm down and relax. Look,
for all we know, we may have to outsource the medical to wherever that player's national team is.
Oh, bro, we will have to.
Yeah.
We will look at me and Polpy. We're looking at it today.
Yeah.
Most of the players that we're interested in have potentially internationals up until the 10th, and the 10th is the day that players need to be registered for the Club World Cup. So. Yeah. I would imagine that medicals will either be being done in the next couple of days or potentially done in between the two games. But I haven't seen anything on this one. Yeah, I haven't seen anything on this one yet. Did I bid for
the first one where we lowballed them at about 50 million did?
Yeah, but then I heard we.
But then after that, it went very quiet. So I think whatever the second one was, I think it's pretty much all done now.
Let me have a quick news now. Look now. Right, but ones to talk to with you on is Jack Grealish to Spurs. Have you seen that?
Yeah, makes no sense. Because again, those wages for that sort of club are just such an albatross. It just does not make any sense whatsoever. And I know being a Lyon club, they're not in essence, they're not really a direct rival because then he doesn't have to play against us. But we're not going to do business with a club that would demand us to pay at least half his wages. When at the same time, every time we've tried to call them about buying a potential player, Daniel Levy either doesn't answer the phone or he demands 50 million just for a sit-down meeting with him. If they're gonna play tough business with us, then I think we have to play tough business with them.
Yeah,
it just does not make sense to me. There's too much there, and I just don't know if City would be willing to do business with those guys at the moment.
Spurs going to be they're not going to pay his wages, are they?
No.
Will Grealish take a right? Actually, did you see that apparently he'd agreed that if United qualified for Champions League football. Oh my God!
I may have heard something in passing about this whole if they'd won Europa League, you would have gone to United. I might have heard something in passing, but I sort of brushed it off. I just thought it was quite ridiculous. I know he's out of sorts, or he's out of favour with the club, and the club's out of favour with him at the moment. But it just doesn't seem to be something that we'd be willing to do business. And I don't care how bitter a player is. I just don't see it. To be honest with you, if there was going to be a club in London that I think would take him, that might be able to take him, and we might be willing to do a little bit of business with the wages, might be West Ham. Because we might be able to do something with regards to the wages, and he'd be happy there because he'd get a shitload of game time.
He'd play.
He would play a lot.
Actually, quick one on West Ham. What's his name? West Ham winger.
Bowen.
Nah, others.
Kudus?
Yeah, has anyone seen anything on Kudus?
Before the end of the season, I thought I read something about him. He was leaving, or he was heading off somewhere.
Oh, well, that's what I've saw all season, that was leaving. But now I'm thinking, I haven't seen any confirmation of him going anywhere.
Yeah.
Is he another one that actually they just can't get rid of? I'd be shocked if he goes into another season with them, but maybe he will.
I don't know. It's to me, it just seems like one of those things where maybe it's so quiet, and then all of a sudden you're just going to hear out of nowhere. You go, "Oh, yep, he went to Saudis on $500,000 a week."
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I remember he was linked with Liverpool heavily. People thought he'd go to Liverpool, but I guess Liverpool have gone and got Wirtz now, or as good as I saw someone say. Speak on Wirtz. Rodrigo, is that what you do? You just keep saying speak on Wirtz. Actually, we can speak on Wirtz. Did you see that they offered Harvey Elliott?
Yeah. Just saw something briefly as well. I mean, I think you have to look at alternatives if if a club's playing hardball in terms of what they value their own player at, and if they're not willing to go closer to the 150 million approximately that Leverkusen value him at, then you're sort of shortchanging yourself a little bit. And the problem is that once you start bringing players in, then you're actually giving even more authority to the selling club as well.
Yeah. Because
it's all well and good saying, yeah, we'll take a player. We're willing to take this player off our hands, but it doesn't mean that it's going to benefit them in any way. And also too, we've seen the logistics of a player swap, just how difficult it actually is, because a swap like for like doesn't necessarily mean like for like. The gap between a contract could be absolutely astronomical, which is why whenever we've come close to doing anything like that, it's always been done as two separate transfers.
Yeah.
So if they're going to do it, I think that if they're really that convinced that they're going to get Wirtz, I think they're going to have to either go with what Leverkusen want, or if the negotiations do break down at a certain point, I don't know, maybe they'd be willing to have a look at possibly trying to pre-contract similar to what they did with that Georgian goalkeeper 12 months ago.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe because I don't know if you saw Ornstein's come out and said that I think back end of last week, I think it was, that Slot ended up having a meeting with Cherki.
Yeah, I believe the meeting was before they really focused all their attention on Wirtz.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was interest there, but when Wirtz kind of fell into their lap, then obviously that's become the be all and end all of what they want to do for the summer. Yeah.
Let me ask you.
Hay fever's killing you, bro.
Killing my eyes here badly.
Yeah.
If you have the choice, right, of we pursue with Cherki and we get Cherki and we get Reijnders. Now let's just go with the Cherki thing for now, just Cherki. Or would you rather that the Wirtz deal breaks down and City go back in for Wirtz?
I'd like to think. By now, I feel like that ship sailed. I think we've had our opportunity, and I think if we were to go back in for him, then you're sort of inviting us for another opportunity of having a Declan Rice or a Bellingham situation again, where it drags on, consumes the whole of our summer transfer window, and we end up with our pants around our ankles. We end up with nothing. So I would prefer not to do that. I think the manner in which you sort of moved on from that business and the speed in which we did that is really impressive as well too. So that's, for me, that's the sort of thing where I just think you're asking for trouble if we were to do anything like that as well. And to be honest with you, if that were to happen, I think you'd see Bayern Munich come screaming through more than anybody, to be honest. So I don't know. And the more and more I've thought about it, just listening to this show and other shows as well too, is I don't know who it was, but it made something really. They made a point that really stood to me was, if we, we're not going to deny that Florian Wirtz is one of the best midfielders in the world, easily. But is he 4 times the player of Rayan Cherki based on transfer value?
Yeah,
and I don't think he is.
No, I think
but that for me is very, very reassuring, knowing that we're willing to go for just as good quality at a damn good cut price amount compared to what they're going to pay for Wirtz.
100% agree. People, there's 255 of you in here. Only 105 likes, 106 likes now. If everyone watching this, please could just have a quick check. Make sure the like button is lit. If you're watching it on playback, same goes for you. Please make sure that you smash that like button. Now, for me, I think the first thing is Wirtz has made it clear, we think, that he wants to go to Liverpool, right? Well, there could be reasons. Could be prefers the club. Could be prefers the location. Could be prefers the manager. There could be a multitude.
Klopp got in his ear. We don't know.
Yeah. Ultimately, he's made that decision now. He's shown. So for me, it don't matter. Like, if Liverpool don't get him, he chose. He didn't want to come to us, right? So for me, that is that. Like, and again, if we're gonna have to pay the same as Liverpool are paying, you don't pay that for a player that doesn't really want to come to you. So that's fine. You don't want to come in, no problem. But I do also think that the knock-on effect of this could be that if we get Cherki, and then it means that the cost difference, let's say from 30 million to 130 million, that is 100 million that can be evenly put out or put out however you want into all the other pots, right? And we know that's how City do it. They go, let's say they go, right, we want a left back, a right back, a central midfielder, an attacking midfielder. A list would be made for each position, 1 to 5. Who's your number 1 target? Who's your 5th choice target? And then they'll look at how much each costs. Now, ultimately, if because of us not getting Wirtz, that means that we can put extra money into getting Livramento instead of getting an unknown Brazilian that none of us really know much about, I'm here for that. That's good business, and it helps us. For me, I think if Wirtz became available, I wouldn't want City to go back in for him now.
No.
Now, if you don't get Cherki, okay, maybe we consider it. But
and I think now, and I think it was Nobbin said this, and I totally agree with you too. Was just like even if we were to get Verts, do you think it solves all our problems? Not even close.
No.
So that's why I think, given where we are and what this club's been going through in terms of how they've been performing on the field for the last 12 months, it's all well and good if you go and buy another big superstar, a big star boy, your marquee signing who's going to be there for the next 10 years. But it doesn't mean anything if you haven't got the players to support him around that as well too. So what we're doing in this market is we're not just buying good players, but we're also building a future core of players that could be there could bring us prolonged success for the next 7 to 10 years, basically. And that's how you go ahead and win things. The only exception to the rule might be is if you get a player whose name starts with M and ends with Essie. That's it. That's the only exception to the rule. But apart from that, you're going to have to you put big players in there, but you got to have the right ingredients around it for it to work, basically.
Yeah. Do you know what? I appreciate that someone saying about getting the honey. I'm going to probably in between this and the later show, I'm probably going to contact a place near here that does the injection.
Get some ginger tea as well. Ginger tea is really good. Really good.
But someone actually, what you were just saying then, spot on. Someone on Twitter or X, sorry, posted something the other day, and it had a list of the age of the players when we bought them, with Ederson, Bernardo, with multiple players that we bought around that period, and what age we were buying then compared to what age we're buying now. And it is very, 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 very similar. That we definitely are kind of looking for our next.
If you think about that core that we bought in 2017, I don't think a single one of those players was over 25.
No, exactly.
Danilo maybe a little bit older, but apart from that, every single one of them was at least 23 or younger, I think. Maybe 24. And we're doing just about the same thing. In terms of average age, about the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny how what's been happening in this last 6 months. There's so many parallels to what was happening in 2017 as well too. Because when you think about it, the season leading up to this summer transfer window, what happened? Started the season well, or at least we thought we started the season well. Hit a dip, and then we really, really dropped off. Came back. We didn't have a January transfer window though in 2017, but then we came back. We had a strong finish to the end of the season. Got our Champions League spots. Realized what our errors were, and that's when we came into the summer market and went absolutely. Sorry,
we came third and 1-0.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, exactly. Came third, 1-0. And then we went, and then that's when we went absolute hardcore in the transfer window in the summer of 2017. So you can draw a line between the two, and it's almost exactly the same thing.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree with that. I don't know if you've seen this. I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I cannot keep up with Manchester City kits now. I'm done. Like, I have no idea where we are. So, just seen this. Hold tight, MCFC lads. Man City's third.
Another water kit.
Right.
Because we did that Xylem water kit back in the 21-22 season. Remember the white one?
Yeah, then
that was to do with like water conservation, and this
hold on, the one that I've got on now.
No, the following season. The one that Kevin De Bruyne wore when he scored 4 goals at Wolves. Yeah. Because that one was to do with that Xylem company they do for like water conservation or water preservation or something. So now what? 3 seasons later, we're doing another water-based one. Like,
but then we've got the other one, right? That is we've got the other one that's kind of grey with the water all down it. You know, it's a bit like I've seen about 5 different kits. We've got 2 for the Club World Cup, apparently, right? If too many kits, man, we need to fucking stop.
I tell you what, if they don't release that black and white kit as the away kit, I'm done. Like, just keep it simple for us. Just good, simple, neutral colors, and we're all happy people. You don't have to go and bloody try and throw a water park on the side of your bloody kit every single season or something.
Too many kits for me. Right. So, update on Ederson. So yesterday, obviously, Pep said that Ortega, as far as he's aware, both Ortega and Ederson will be staying at Manchester City. Then it came out from, I must admit, a journo that I've never heard of before, but a journo that a journo that works for The Athletic, which usually when I see The Athletic, I believe it a little bit, that he's open to a move to Saudi Arabia. And then I've just been told by someone that apparently has contacts that he's about to sign, that City are putting a extra, offering him a 2-year extension on 150 grand a week because he's only on 100 grand a week. And of course, the news from Stuart, Scott Carson leaving, which that worries me because if Scott Carson's leaving, it makes me think Eddie might be leaving. What would your perfect summer, would it be Eddie staying and signing a 2-year extension, or would it be Eddie leaving?
Well, in perfect world, I'd rather extend for another 4 years.
Right. Okay. Cool. So you're on my thing
because there's nobody else out there that does what Ederson can do in the Pep squad.
Yeah.
And I think we need to understand that since the day we signed him, we always have had to accept that for the amazing distribution that he can do, that nobody else in the world can do from that position, we had to compromise on a little bit of the shot stopping ability.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from the goalkeeper he is. I still think he's a good keeper. He's just not close to a Courtois levels. Or a Jan Oblak or something like that. You know what I mean? Like pure shot stoppers or anything like that. But that was the compromise that we were willing to take when we got this guy. And when you saw some of those passes and some of those long balls he put through and the way how many times we string together plays where he put 44 passes together, how he was involved with about 10% of those passes and things like that. How important he is to the entire setup of that team. And let's not forget too, it's just like when you think about the longevity of what keepers have been like and some of the best that have ever done it, if he's only 31 now, he's pretty much he hasn't even really reached his prime. Technically, he hasn't really reached his prime. So I still can't believe that we've been able to get away with this highway robbery of only paying him 90K a week.
Mental.
When you think of what Neuer's on, when you think of what Jan Oblak's on, when you think of what Courtois is on, I don't think Ederson is even inside the top 15 in terms of salary for global goalkeepers or anything like that. Mendy out in Saudi Arabia is on about 4 times more than what he is. Like, bro, it's insane.
Me. I don't get how. Like, do you know what? So for the last year or two, I've been thinking I don't get why his head's turned a little bit. I do get it now. If he's on, and I saw someone say, "Oh, only on 100 grand a week, poor bastard." I get it, right? But we have to look at the relevance. Is exactly what you just said. That you're looking at other goalkeepers, what they're on. You're looking at other players at the club that you're on. It just seems very, very, very low. And look, for me, when we're going through a season of transit or a summer of transition, when we're getting in potentially 2 fullbacks, I think risking going and getting another keeper is too big a risk. If we can keep Ederson, I think if City offer him more money and Pep goes to him and tells him we need him, I think he stays. Because I think he is that player that wants to feel loved. We've seen it over the years that he wants to feel appreciated by the club. So 90 grand, if someone said it's disrespectful, to be honest with you, I do kind of agree with when there's other players there that are on what they're on. Sorry, but Grealish on 300 grand a week and Eddie's on 90 is mental.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think Ederson is a certain sort of player that does play on emotion quite a lot. I think you see certainly a more improved player if the right person's got their arm around his shoulder. So yeah, he does play on that quite a lot as well too. I think we've seen his best performances is when you know that like he's in a good space. I think just with the teammates and the way he's sort of playing, the way he sort of is reading the game and everything like that too. So I just think like even Ederson on his bad day is still going to do things that are as good as any new signing would do after a season of being here, or after even if they came in and did a really good, even if their first season here was really, really good. I'll go to the grave with it with Ederson. Basically, from day one, I have accepted the compromise of less shot stopping for the impeccable distribution.
Yeah,
and until we find another player that is, and I know it's hard when we talk about new players saying this is going to be the replacement, or are they like for like, or how much are they like for like? Well, Ederson is probably the first person we think of of any player that's come through City in the last 15, 20 years, where whoever comes in, whether it be next season, this summer, 5, 10 years from now, because we don't know how long he's going to be here, but he is the prime example of who is the next person comes in. They are going to be compared to him in every single thing that they do. So long as Pep is going to be there, then they'll always be compared to what he does. Yeah. And until you find someone who is comparable, then we need to do everything in our power to keep him there.
Yeah, agreed. 100% agree with you. I think there's a conversation going in the chat about players going yet and players. I tell you what, the level of patience. I get the world's changed and people aren't as patient, but someone said it quite right. Manchester City's board, right? The only players they can tell us are leaving are players whose contracts are up, right? Anything else is not on Man City's board. It's on other clubs offering us money for them, right? We can't guarantee that Grealish is going to go. Literally, we can't unless we tear up his contract. And when we say tearing up his contract, that would mean that Grealish has got, I think, 2 years left on his contract, 2 or 3 years left on his contract at 300 grand a week. If Manchester City wanted to get rid of Grealish by any means, right, at a cost, there'd be the cost of his wages for the next 2 or 3 years because he is contracted. We have to pay his wages unless we sell him, right? Now, if no one is coming through an offer for him, Man City aren't going to go, well, fuck it, we'll go and give you fucking 20. Well, to buy Grealish out of his contract, I would imagine at this point it would cost.
You're looking at about 30 million.
About 30 million.
About 30 million.
I'm not going to go and go, right, you know what, Grealish, here's 30 million. That's your wage for the next 2 years. Go where you want. They're not going to do that, right? They're going to wait patiently and they're going to see who comes in for him, right? Otherwise, like you said, just here. Why leave? And that is the truth. Grealish will just stay. He'll just go, nah, I'll sit, fuck it. Unless, and this is the thing.
Similar to what Gareth Bale was doing at Real Madrid.
Yeah, unless he wants to play for England again, in which case he might think game time's more important. But we just have to be a little bit more patient. Yeah, that's true. Why would you rip up? Yeah. You wouldn't as well. So we just have to wait, man. We have to wait. Be patient.
To be honest, I think most of these outgoings are not going to be done at least until the next transfer window opens. Well, actually, I feel about 100% convinced that it will be until the next transfer window.
What
leaving? Yeah, you're not going to. I don't think you'll see any leave between now and the 10th. The question then becomes is who's going to be on that plane going to the States? Because I think those that don't go to the States, they will be the ones that we'll probably be looking at saying, okay, maybe there are clubs that are interested in these players and maybe they don't want them to go because they don't want to be at risk of injury and they get injured for the start of the season, at the new club. I don't think they want to do that. So I think it might be interesting or might be worth getting the magnifying glass out, having a little quick look at who goes to the States, who doesn't go to the States, and maybe just use a little bit of process of elimination and see where we go from there.
Let's have a quick look. When's the squad announced for that?
Well, the first game's on the 18th.
So
really, when you think about it, when that transfer window's open, they should be on the first flight out to Philly.
Well, apparently, players have to be registered by the 10th, so I'd imagine that's probably when the squad's out, right?
I reckon as soon as that window's closed, they'll be loading up the aircraft and heading off. Because really, when the window closes, City's first game after it closes is 8 days later.
Yeah.
Which is ample enough time to get out there and get yourself set up. Because the setup up there, I know it's an actual competition, but they'll be able to treat it. Once they're in there, they'll be settled just the same way they do for pre-seasons every single year.
Yeah,
they'll have the hotels, they'll have the facilities. I'm sure all the clubs out there will be probably borrowing, training facilities for like NFL clubs, or if an MLS club happens to be there as well too. So they'll have ample amounts of facilities, and facilities are just as good as what they get in Manchester anyway. So, it'll be easy. It'll be easy for them to set up shop and transition and get everything ready for that tournament.
All right, I'm just having a quick look through. So. The players are due to return first team training on Monday, the 9th of June. So in 6 days' time.
Yeah.
It remains to be seen whether any major outgoings will materialise in the 10-day transfer window. I don't think De Bruyne will be coming, will he?
I think we're less than a day or two away from him holding up a different sky blue shirt, let's be honest.
Yeah, I think... I also think with all the goodbyes he got, because look, he got the last home game. He actually then also got the last away game, last game of the season as well. I think all the goodbyes have been done now. We've seen him on the pitch, so I think
actually, I think Ruben Diaz, Rico Lewis also put farewells in there.
Yeah, they have.
So I think in about I think within 24 to 48 hours from now, we'll be seeing shirts being held up.
Yeah, I wonder if City, our incomings will happen once that is announced. I don't know. Do you think that we get the three ones done before we fly out?
I think two will. I think two. I think Reijnders and Cherki to a point are so far along now that I think they can be done or wrapped up by the 10th. So I think that won't be a drama. The Ait-Nouri one, weirdly enough, of all the three, even though he's coming from a club that's closest to Manchester out of the other two, might be the one that may not quite get done before the window closing. And the other reason I say that is the fact that when you have to factor in a third club, being Angers, you have to understand that that's going to take, because what you're basically doing is you've got it's quite a situation of where like a club like Wolves is probably going to have two phone lines open because they're going to be talking to us, and then they're going to have to be relaying everything to Angers, basically saying this is how much they want. No, we want more or anything like that. And then there's this whole thing about saying that if Wolves play Angers $8.5 million, then they wipe the 50% sell-on clause. Which, to be honest with you, if you're Wolves, I think you're biting Angers' hand off to give them the $8.5 million.
Yeah. See, I've actually seen that could be the first one to be done.
I don't know. I always think when there's a third club involved, I think it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they'll want to try and get as much financial advantage off a player that is no longer theirs.
Yeah.
In the same way that we probably do the same with all our academy players who have sell-on clauses as well.
But I think that is an example right there is probably one of the reasons why we do need to be a little bit patient. The Ait-Nouri one is a great example that there is complications to that one, because I know that one of the things is that they can do, and Manchester City will probably be working with Wolverhampton to how they can make that work best.
Yeah. I think Wolves would be silly to not pay the $8.5 million to Angers, really, because just a simple maths, what they're saying about £40 million, roughly around about that at the moment. If you pay that $8.5, then you're looking at what, 32 million, 30 or 31.5 million profit basically. Yeah. If you don't do that, then you're only getting about 20.
Yeah.
And given the fact that Cunha's on his way to United, Nouri's going to go to City. We don't know who else is going to be on the way out. That money's going to be important for them if they want to have some sort of a rebuild and be able to still be a competitive enough team so they don't fall into the relegation trap next season.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. Yeah,
because don't get me wrong, they're good enough. They're a good enough side to stay in the league, but we just don't know we don't know. Maybe this is a season where the promoted clubs might actually suddenly start reviving again. Yeah, we don't know when it's going to happen, but it could happen this season. Leeds might be ready. Burnley might have a good season. We don't know. So it's important for them to be savvy in the market, because they're going to have to. I wouldn't say it's a rebuild, but a team like Wolves, they have to be very, very sensible, very smart about how they do their business, given that their two best players have just left.
You've seen this? Man City set for rule change after Champions League controversy.
What's the rule?
Let me have a quick read. Bear with me. I think that might be to do with the second leg thing.
Where the highest seeded teams play at home in the second leg or something?
Yeah. Hold on, let's have a look. Oh no, double touch penalties. Right, okay.
Oh.
Do you know the funniest thing about this? Let me share my screen. I think this is brilliant. Where are we? Share screen. Now, can anyone see something quite funny there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, United don't need to worry about that one no more.
No.
United do not need to worry about that. So I'm just having a quick look. There's nothing much really. No new news coming out. Let me ask you a quick question, actually.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Delap?
I think from the days when we saw him back in goals in the academy, and then if you remember that coming out of lockdown season when he scored that banger against Bournemouth in the cup, I think we started getting a little bit on the hype train, like, oh, okay, maybe we may not need to worry about going in for Kane in future transfer windows. Maybe we don't need to go for Haaland in future transfer windows. And then sure enough, he fell out of favour with Pep, and then the following transfer window we're trying to get Kane, and then the following transfer window we end up with Haaland. So again, it's another one of those things where you don't want to get too hyped up about academy players. But weirdly enough, actually, I actually went to talk about random. I actually went and saw a game at Loftus Road between QPR and Hull about 2 seasons ago, and this was when Delap was playing for Hull at the time. And I just watched the way he played. I don't think he scored for Hull that day, but he just had the makings of a real old school sort of striker. And while an old school striker will still, can still bring some sort of success in the English game, I just think that the top echelons of English football have sort of moved on from the old school striker. So for me, I think he'll still have a really good season. I just don't know to what extent he might be able to do, to what extent how successful he might be with bigger clubs. I still think it's good business for Chelsea because 30 million is a steal for a player who can grind out goals and probably still bag a good amount of goals every season for you as well. But it remains to be seen if he'll have the longevity to be able to do it. I mean, from a City standpoint, we're buzzing because we got what £9 million out of an academy player. The carousel continues to roll on and on and on. Just bringing these new talents through and just getting money for them for not even touching a football in the Etihad. I wish him all the best, but the hype for me sort of died off quite quickly once I realised how much out of favour he was with Pep and that. But there's enough there for me to see that there's a good player there for a good career, but nothing really blows me away in terms of he was always going to make it here.
I don't know if he would have made it at City. I don't think he would have.
No.
I judged him a bit wrongly, to be fair, because that season where he did get a little bit of game time, he was 17, right? He was 17. I remember he got brought on against Leicester when we were already something like 5-1 down or something, or 5-2 down.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and it was like, come on, man, what are we expecting a 17-year-old to do? But I must say, whoever sold him for Ipswich, whoever the sporting director there is, needs to get sacked because they've made fuck all money on that deal at all.
I wonder maybe with Ipswich it was one of those they were going to they took a gamble on him, hopefully bagging them enough goals to keep him up. The fact that it didn't work, they were going to get some sort of money back for him, and they'll start again with somebody else, and obviously rely a bit on that parachute payment to go back down the championship.
Yeah.
No,
but it does surprise me. Yeah, that was probably it, to be fair. But I just have a sneaky feeling that I think he's gonna bag for Chelsea this season. I think he's actually gonna be.
Do you think him linking up with Cole Palmer will be good as well too? Back with someone from the academy.
Yeah, maybe even linking up with Lavia if they can keep Lavia fit as well, because that period right there. Right. Quick question.
What about Maresca's link to Delap?
Maresca was there.
He was. Yeah, he was there. Yeah.
I mean, you could maybe even potentially Sancho might have been there for a period. I'm not sure. Sancho might have been. I think he was a year or two above.
It's a signing for Chelsea that's high. It's low risk, high reward, potential high reward, and the pros definitely outweigh the cons. So it's good business from them. Harmless if it doesn't work out. Fair play to them.
Right. Last question for you. people, 178 likes, 410 watching. That means there's still probably about 220 of you that haven't liked the video. If we can get these likes over 200, please. So everyone, please check the like button is lit. If it isn't, please smash the like button. Let's get those up over 200, please. Would help the channel a lot. Right. So, just have this conversation with LB, right? So, this season we've been playing, well, the last couple of seasons, there's two academy players that we've been playing out of position. One being Nico O'Reilly, who's actually an attacking midfielder, but he's been playing left back, been quality. The other one is Rico Lewis, who's been playing at right back for quite some time. Who do you see getting more game time next season, Nico O'Reilly or Rico Lewis? And in what position?
I'd have to say Nico O'Reilly. If you'd asked me earlier in last season, I probably would have said Rico Lewis. But the more and more that Rico played this season, the more and more I started to realize that, for starters, again, I'm willing to cut a little bit of slack with Rico because the fact that he went straight from the under-18s into the first squad. Yeah. So he's missed a whole era of development in his career, basically. But the thing is, for that reason, I think he's a bit of a niche player. He suits certain lineups, certain oppositions, certain grounds as well too. He is a big factor in terms of how we play as well too, in terms of a tempo, quickness of distribution, the quickness of passing, and that too. But that doesn't necessarily means that it benefits us depending on who we're playing. Yeah. Nico O'Reilly, though, what impresses me so much is how quickly in the space of 12 months he's picked up the game. He hasn't necessarily let the whole playing as a left back, because there's less accountability for you making mistakes there than it would if you were in midfield. But he hasn't let that affect his performances in any way whatsoever. I think you can certainly tell by the way that he pushes forward, the way he inverts. His arrival into the box in some games there was second to none. It was as good as, it was like seeing a younger, taller Gundogan doing it as well too. And I think having Gundogan, in the same field as him as well too, is a big learning curve for him as well too. I think it's important to, what we have to remember with Nico O'Reilly being a young player as well is it's the smart thing to do now is for him to get back into either competing for first team spots with the midfielders or competing with Ait-Nouri for that left wing, that left back, left winger role, whatever you want to call it. Because at the end of the day with a young player, if you start giving too much game time, they get complacent.
Yeah.
And when they don't have healthy competition, then they become a risk. They become a risk of, as I said, being complacent. They overplay. It's a similar situation to like Saka at Arsenal. If you just give them too much game time, complacency can set in. So I think the best thing now is for his development now is like, okay, you've started making a name for yourself in the squad. You need to start now. The big step for you now is, and I'm sure Pep's done this with dozens and dozens of young players that come through. Now the big test for you is how are you able to back up what you did in that first season? Are you able to improve your game? Are you able to develop your game? One, where you can be better than your teammates, but number two, enhance your game because you know now that other teams are going to be coming after you. Yeah, they know your game plan. They know how you play. And that's the big stepping stone now between a player who showed quality in their first season, but now the big stepping stone is, are you able to continue that, knowing that you have to develop your game, you have to change it.
Well, and then the other thing is that, look, if we get Ait-Nouri, realistically, O'Reilly's no longer going to be our, what we would say probably for the last 10 games, was our go-to left back, right? He's not going to be our go-to left back. So now it's, where is O'Reilly going to feature?
Again, I think because the injuries sort of allowed him to, injuries to other players allowed him to get more game time. We're going to go into this season assuming that we're not going to have the same issues as we did last season. But I think for that reason, I think there's an opportunity for him to still, one, be rotational with Ait-Nouri, be rotational with other midfielders. There'll be cup games. There'll be chances there'll be matches where we're 4 goals up with 30 minutes to play. Really good chunks of game time for him to play as well too. But I think the real question there is that, or the real test for him there is that we might look at a certain lineup and say, why didn't he start? But then I think Pep's going to test. I think in a way Pep will test him by basically saying, well, you need to now go and prove to me that you can do as good as you would if you were started, but I want you to do it 30 minutes off the bench.
Yeah.
Again, going back to what I just said, learning curves and basically saying, I want you to improve on even more, not even more of a smaller sample size, but basically I'm going to make it more difficult for you. Basically, it's a case of I'm going to try and break you down again to build you up even stronger than what you were the season before. Yeah. And I think little things like that, they are the ones that test the character of a young player. And I think this is going to be a very testing season for Nico, but given the players that he has around and the way he handled himself in the first year, I can't see any reason why he wouldn't be able to take that step up. And I think he would be very, very good competition, healthy competition for those sort of players that will be competing for those spots. And
or you also now mean in a more natural position?
Yeah, whether it be midfield, whether we still have him playing out from the left and playing inverted all the time. I don't know. I'm not sure yet, but there was a lot of positive signs that I saw from this season just past from him, that everything that he learned, I'm sure he's soaked it all up like a sponge, and he will take that and he'll progress his game even further. What I really want to see, what I really want to hear from Pep is, I want to hear him say a little bit more about how he feels Nico Riley's development is coming along as well too, because he was quick to talk about how much Rico Lewis picked up, playing in the senior squad, considering he came direct from the under-18s. Obviously talked about how much he cared about protecting Phil Foden, with the limited game time he had for his first couple of seasons as well. And then the big one was when Oscar Bob started to come through. He was talking about how when Oscar Bob was at the same age as Phil, I know they're only like a year or two apart, but when they were when Oscar Bob got to the same age as what Phil was, he said his development had gone further than what Phil had at the same age.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what he has to say about Nico. Nico O'Reilly, about if he feels the same way. Does he feel that his development is on a level with what Phil Foden's is or what Oscar Bob's is? And then if that's the case, then that's going to fill me with even more positivity to say this kid's going to make it. Well, this kid's going to be able to make a name for himself in this team for a long time to come.
I mean, right, here's one thing interesting. Rico and Nico are the same age. 6 months apart.
Yeah.
This
21, yeah?
20.
20, yeah.
20. So Nico's just turned 20. Rico is 21 in November. So literally same school year, same age, right? Then that's the interesting thing with Rico Lewis, right? That we forget Rico Lewis was very advanced with his call up to the England team, but also to the City squad.
Yeah,
he's been about since the treble season, right? He's been about since he just turned 18. So he is very, very advanced. But I just feel like with the fullbacks we've got, hopefully, touch wood, coming in, I feel like this season it would be nice to see Rico only used, if possible, in his actual position. I think to see him playing in a kind of like a box-to-box 8 role. And actually,
would you prefer to see, again, coming back to what I think about him being more of a niche player, would you prefer to see him depending on the opposition or depending on the competition, or do you think you'd be able to do that in any game? Because again, his job as a midfielder might be a little bit different, say, if we were playing a Champions League game against, Napoli, compared to, say, playing a league match at Ellen Road against Leeds.
Well, this is exactly...
Could be very, very different, yeah.
This is the thing that we've seen with Rico, that there's I guess you're spot on there, to be fair. There's 3 games we've seen Rico in, right? The first one, the obvious one, is the home games against teams that we're predominantly going to have possession against, right? And this goes back to the treble season last season. Not this season so much because it's been different. Whereas we had these games last season before, we had these games where we played teams at the Etihad and they came to park the bus and allow us to have all the possession, right? Now, Rico would start as a right back, but ultimately he'd spend the whole game sat alongside Rodri, moving the ball from left to right, right? That's one game. Then there's the games that we saw him in, which would be like the Carabao Cup games, the final group stages of the Champions League, where we had nothing to lose, And then we would see Rico in an 8, almost like an 8/10 role, right? No,
he'd only be right back on paper, basically.
No. So the first one, he'd be right back on paper, right? The second one, where it was in certain games like Carabao Cup games, final group stages, and he'd actually be in an 8 role, right? And he'd be a lot more advanced up the pitch. That's where I like Rico the most, right? That's where I think Rico really... And then the third one is where, and I used this as an example earlier, I'm sure it was Tottenham about 2 seasons ago, or maybe a season and a half ago, and we played him as a fullback, and he got ripped a new one down the left-hand side to the point where we got subbed off at half-time because it was not a team. It was not a team that we could that was parking the bus against us. It was a team that was coming at us down the side, right? And then Rico Lewis was being asked to actually do the job as a right back, and he looked atrocious. Why?
Yeah.
Because Rico Lewis is atrocious, right? As a right back. He's not a good right back for me. He's good starting on paper as a right back, but he's not a right back. And I used this as an example earlier. We're about to sign Ait-Nouri. We're already seeing people online say, oh, but Ait-Nouri is great going forward, but he's not so good defensively, right? Liverpool have just signed Frimpong. Again, everyone is talking about how Frimpong's great going forward, but not so good going backwards, right? Another one, Trent Alexander. We all know how good he is going forward, but people say he's not so good as a right back, right? I've just named you 3 fullbacks who are not very good as a right back, right? Defensively. So is it not fair to say that actually Rico Lewis, who is more of an 8-10, right, isn't very good defensively? We're judging Rico, and I've seen people say Rico's a scrub. No, Rico is a scrub when he's being asked to do something that has never been his position.
No.
Like, never been. And do you know what? And a great example is Nico O'Reilly's come in as a left back. He's actually done a good job as a left back defensively as well. Why? Because he's more physical. Rico Lewis is not a physical player. And for me, I really want to see Rico given a chance in his actual role.
Yep.
If after that, I'm being attacked by what did have my City flask in it. Mental.
Oh, that's yeah. I've still got mine from my Citizen Match Day from like 2 seasons ago.
Exactly. Yeah. I wonder what we'll get this year. Actually,
good question. Actually, yeah. Actually, shit. That reminds me. I need to start making new stuff for our group.
But no, I just think it would be nice for Rico to be given a chance in his position before we make an actual decision if he's good enough or not. Yep. For me, as a squad player, because one of the debates we're having at the moment is we get Cherki, we get Reijnders, we get Ait-Nouri. Do we need more midfielders, right? Do we need more midfielders? If these midfielders...
No, because I think we're forgetting. I think that the injuries from last season are making us forget about what we have in-house.
Yeah.
They do make us forget about it. Because we have to anticipate that Foden's going to come back.
Yeah.
Echeverry is going to be in the mix as well too.
Yeah.
God, who else do we see? Of course, Rodri's coming back. Nico G's going to be playing a shitload more games. Averaging minutes, per game than what he did for the last 6 months.
And what we're looking at straight away is right. Gundogan, does Gundogan go? Does Bernardo go? Does Kovacic go? I think Kovacic is going to be a very difficult one to sell when he's got a 3-month injury, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very difficult because it's not. And someone said the other day, oh, we bought Gundogan when he was injured, but Gundogan was not 30, 31. Gundogan was 25 at the time, right? Gundogan, in fact, maybe even 24 or 23. Gundogan was still very young, right?
Yeah.
This is a 30, 31-year-old Kovacic with a 3-month injury. Getting him off the books is not going to be easy. So he's there. And by the way, I will stand by it. Kovacic, for me, was probably our second best player last season. So why would we want to get rid of him?
Yeah.
We've then got, ultimately, if we get Ait-Nouri, if we get Livramento or the likes of Livramento, another right back, we then have Nico O'Reilly and we have Rico Lewis, who are 2 midfielders that I can't... Right, if Rico Lewis was good enough for this squad when he was 18 years old and we won a treble, for me, Rico Lewis is still good enough for this squad now as a squad player in his natural position.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd like to see. Let me be clear on both of them. I'd like to see them both just given a chance in their natural positions.
Would you say sooner for Rico than Nico?
Yeah.
Just because obviously Rico's been around the squad a bit longer, so maybe he should get that chance now.
You know what? I think
Nico can be sort of utilitarianized. Basically, he can allow to be played on the left or played on the right, maybe float in the midfield a little bit, because everything he's doing is just a learning experience that's only going to benefit him. Sooner or later, I think we have to look at Rico and be like, all right, is this guy ready to go? Now we have to give him the ultimate test and start playing regular in midfield as well.
Well, this is the thing. You're right. Firstly, you've got to remember that although they're a similar age, Nico has just broke into the squad, right? But Nico's shown he can be played as a fullback, right? For now, yeah? For me, I don't want to see Rico Lewis used as a fullback at all. For me, Rico Lewis is a fullback. He's not it. Scrap that idea, right? We've got Nunes as backup. Do you know what? Nunes is a right back. He's done better as a right back than Rico Lewis has done as a right back. So we'll keep Nunes there for now. We hopefully get another right back. We'll also got to remember we're going to have a Kanji who can play right back next season. We don't know if maybe even Kuzanov might be able to play right back and maybe play 3 centre-backs and Kuzanov come in. We don't know, right? Nico O'Reilly, I think, can still be given game time as a fullback, but also, if need be, he could probably be played in a more advanced position. With Rico Lewis, it's probably, I want to see him be given a chance more, but I'll be quicker to say, do you know what, it's not working than with Nico. Because with Nico, like, this is only your second season here. You can be a bit more of a utility player. With Rico, it's now down to you playing your role. And ultimately, you might be good enough in your role to be a squad player, and you can stay at City however long you want to as a squad player. If you aren't good enough, it's time for you to go elsewhere. And by the way, also, if you don't want to be a squad player, that's fine as well. But I just think we need to give him a chance. We need to give Rico a chance in his position. And do you know what? Club World Cup's perfect for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think with all due respect to teams like Wydad and Al Ain, I think they can be sort of looked at in the same way that we play EFL clubs in the cup competitions in a way.
Yeah.
So there might be a chance to do a bit of experimentation without the risk of throwing the game away or conceding needless goals or anything like that. So yeah, I think it's a good chance for them. It's kind of weird because I think what we're realizing with this competition is, you're walking into this competition at a time where a lot of these players should be in pre-season mode, or their instincts would make them believe they're in pre-season mode. And then to add on top of that as well too, there's every possibility that at some point in this tournament you're going to be playing South American teams that are deep in the middle of their season in a competition that they take more seriously than any other continental faction of football in the world. They love this Club World Cup because because it means so much to them, because they'd love to be able to stick it to the European big boys. That's why I've always said with this competition, I've always said I can understand why people talk down about it when they're not in it, but once you're in it, then all of a sudden your attitude sort of changes to it.
Yeah,
because it's sort of an add-on to what you've already accomplished, which is nothing wrong with that. That's a respectable trophy, and it's an honor. It goes on your honor roll for your club. But also, too, I also think of it as like the second best opposition is an opposition that treats it way more seriously than we do.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
There's more cause to be concerned about how you play, because you know that team on the other side of the pitch is going to put 110% in, because their fan base demands it, and the culture in South American football demands that they try and win that, because they want that. They want that trophy. They want that hardware. They want that name of being the best club in the world. Yeah. That's how much it means to them. Yeah. So I think it's really important. Yeah. I think it should be treated more importantly than what is led to believe by fan bases, media, etc.
Do you know what? I think, like, someone said to me the other day, I can't remember who it was. It was on Never a Found. Somebody said to me that the Club World Cup is easier to qualify for, right? And I'd go, stop right there, right? People that say the Club World Cup is easier to qualify or easier to win, right, are teams that have not won in Europe, right? Because to qualify for the Club World Cup, you have to win a Champions League, right? To win a Champions League, you have to qualify for a Champions League and then go on and beat the best teams in Europe to fucking get in it. So to say the Club World Cup is easier to qualify than any other tournament is absolutely insane, right? Because you're not in there unless you fucking win a Champions League. So that is insane.
And that's going to what you said. That's why I appreciate that our Champions League win more as much as any other trophy that we've won, because of who we had to beat to get there.
Yeah.
When you think about after Leipzig, the three teams that we had to beat to win that Champions League had won a combined 22 Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
That's how you go and win it, and that's what sets you up for the future to win more.
Yeah.
When you go against Europe's pedigree and you beat them to go and get your first one.
Yeah, spot on. And then look, and I'll be honest, now we're there, I do think, like, as the current Club World Cup holders, and that's something to say, do you know what? We won the last Club World Cup in the old format. If we can then move on, right, and then win the next Club World Cup, the first of the new one, right, to say we were the holders of the old one and we're the first winners of the new one, that's big bragging rights.
Yeah. And if we don't win this one, hopefully we can win the next one, because Australia has expressed interest in trying to host the one in 2029.
Oh, really?
So fingers crossed with that one.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I've just seen this. So someone's saying, how's Juve? So this, Inter and Juve are the, and Atletico are there as well. Okay. So in that case,
I don't know the full specifics, but it's to do with the coefficient.
Right, yeah, it's to do with... So normally, I would imagine what it is if someone in your country has won it in the last 10 years, then you're in it. So that means City... Right, I think it's 2 clubs from every country, right?
Minimum 2, yeah.
Right, and they probably pick the 2 that... Well, I would imagine from England, they've picked the 2 that have most recently won it. So it's City and Chelsea.
So you could say even if Chelsea and City didn't win their Champions Leagues, and they went to other teams in Europe, there's a good chance that we probably still would have gone there because of our coefficient in Europe. Yeah.
But either way, again, I hear what you're saying, but ultimately to say, it's easy to qualify for, it's not. Again, because the teams, like, what's this, last 5 Champions League winners, right? And then it's down to coefficient. Either way, even if you've got coefficient points in the Champions League, that means, that you're still fucking qualifying for the Champions League every season and going a certain way.
Noah Day says in the commentary, says Athletic never won it though. That's true, but they're always in the Champions League. That's a big underlying factor to your European coefficient.
Yeah.
Or UEFA coefficient, yeah.
So to ever say that, being in the qualifying for the Club World Cup is easy. No. Qualifying for the Super Cup is also not easy, to be fair. Very difficult. You do have to win it for that. But yeah, last thing, I did see this comment. I just wanted to put up. O'Reilly can be support to Rodri, as Rodri cannot play every week, as he will be 2 years older and muscle injuries are a risk after ACL. Now, my thoughts on that are that...
It's a good shout.
I don't think it is, to be honest with you, right? Because, does Rodri need cover? 1,000,000%, right? For me, to think that O'Reilly should be the cover for Rodri, right? I don't get that, because we've just had a season where Rodri needed cover. Not once was O'Reilly played as Rodri cover, right? O'Reilly is a left back.
No, okay, yeah.
O'Reilly is an attacker.
Because then if that's the case, why have we got Nico G?
Yeah, O'Reilly is... Well, not just Nico G. We've got Nico G and we've got Kovacic, right? Who are both 8s that can do a 6 role. Yeah,
and technically Gundogan if you're desperate.
Right. Yeah.
If you're short on options, yeah.
For me, and do you know what? I've even heard Vitor Hayes could do it, but with Nico O'Reilly has never played a DM, right? O'Reilly, in fact, do you know what? I think he played maybe 1 or 2 games last pre-season in the DM role. Didn't look that great. He's an attacking midfielder that has been playing as a left back going forward, right? This whole, I do think Pep put it out there. Pep said he thinks he can play him there, but then hasn't played him there. I don't see this O'Reilly as a DM at all. I don't see O'Reilly as a DM one little bit for me. So appreciate the comment, yeah, but I just think Pep's put that thought in people's head last summer.
I think also too, on further thought, what you said as well too is that if he's going to play the DM role, then I think his options are limited in terms of what we saw from last season, as I said, with his arrival in the box and being able to meet crosses and passes and 1-2s and things like that. I think he'd be more limited in that if he was playing in the 6 role or a support 6. Yeah.
I think we've got Gonzalez. We've got who's Garcia? It's Garcia. Do you mean Gonzalez? I think you mean Gonzalez, didn't you? Must be Gonzalez. So. Yeah. Nico G is.
It's interesting what you said too about Vitor Hayes because there was that talk too about them possibly trying to sort of groom him to eventually become a number 6 as well.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what their long-term plans are with him because, again, it comes down to it seems like we signed him more because other teams were swooping or circling to try and get him, and we just said, "Nah, we want to get this guy before somebody else does." So, and then we proved it by barely giving him any game time since January. Exactly. I'm really, really curious to see what their plans are with this guy.
Yeah, same. Because when he has played, it's been good. So, got to put this up. This is Alan, isn't it? This is Alan.
Yeah,
right?
He's trolling.
Alan, firstly, you said you couldn't come on the show because it was 11:25 there, but we are about to end the show and you're still here. Secondly,
it's past your bedtime, Alan.
How far behind are you? Liverpool spoke with Cherki about 2 to 3 weeks ago. But listen, I guess while we're not playing, you can't moan about that. You want to moan about something else.
Alan's in bed with his Brexit fear mongering.
Yeah, exactly.
He's listening to nursery rhymes narrated by Nigel Farage.
Oh, and you've got. Oh, here we go. Now they're all in. Martin's popped up. Martin is on Pat Watch.
Yes, Martin. I had a sleep this afternoon. I'm fine.
Right, both of you, naughty boys, go and get some sleep because you're on the Mancunian way in 6 hours. But no, and by the way, if anyone does want to see Alan, well, there you go. Alan will be on Mancunian way in 6 hours, and he will also be back on We Are the South Stand tomorrow morning at 10:30. Bossman says sleep. Yeah, exactly that. Right. Anyway, on that note, we are going to head out. So this evening, we're going to be back on this channel at 6 p.m. I am praying that I get some sort of fucking decent transfer news before 6 p.m. I am praying because I'm milking this club for everything it's got at the moment. And
if things go well, mate, hopefully you can have your own show where you do a flight tracker.
No, I'm not doing them. I refuse. But going to be back.
I was thinking if I did one, I'd try and claim it back on tax.
I tell you what, you can literally do it. You can literally do it. But me, no, I'll be crashing the plane too much. So we're going to be back on this channel at 6 p.m. tonight, and then in 6 hours' time. What time is that? That's going to be
9. I think 9:30. We said we'll be on for Mancunian Way.
Then Mancunian Way at 9:30. In the meanwhile, I am going to redirect over from this. Patrick, True City fan, has just gone live. So any of you City fans that just want more and more City transfer talk through this transfer window, because we never know when bumpers are going to drop, so they could drop at any point. Stay exactly where you are right now. This is going to go over there, and smash the likes as soon as you're in there. And
don't forget to 1 p.m. tomorrow as well. Blues Down. I'll be hosting Blues Down Under as well too. Rich, Alan, Nick. We'll hopefully get them on. just for the Southern Hemisphere perspective.
Lovely, lovely. Right, people, we're out. Stay where you are. This will take you straight over to Patrick.
I have a question. Yeah. Who's more the pep talker? The pep talker or the pep talker who gives Pep a pep talk?
Pep talker.
Shoulders back, smash it.